Okay, so I don't know if I'm sending this video to anybody, but I just need to get this out of my system. And I've been journaling and stuff, but for some reason I feel like I need to communicate this way. I don't know if my brain is going to process it differently because I'm speaking, it's going through a different processing part of my brain. For whatever reason, talking about ideas is different than just journaling about them. And kind of coming to the realization that I'm a writer, whether I think that's a good idea or not, whether I want to or not, whether I can survive doing that or not. A writer is a type of an artist, so in a general sense, I'm an artist. And what does that mean? That means I'm going to do foolish things and continue to be probably scraping by and living month to month and making seemingly retarded choices like choosing to live in an overpriced city versus moving to the middle of nowhere where I could have a free place to live. Doesn't seem to make sense unless, you're getting this, I don't know, it's kind of like this. Gosh, there's just so much life going on. There's so much happening. Part of me wants to run away to the woods and hey, I don't care about any of that stuff. Let's get away from here. Let's start a garden, whatever. I'm going to go live as a hermit and that's it, with my 5 cats or whatever. I don't think I could do that. I could do that for a while, but if I wasn't out there writing, trying to make some kind of impact on the world, some kind of eye-opening, put things into words, find phrases for things that have never been described, or just, make a little verbal map for somebody else to follow. I would go crazy. And honestly, kind of went down that road at one point when I was going to college and I was being told that I would never be successful or, have a sustainable lifestyle with what I wanted to do. It was very heartbreaking. And I tried to be normal. I tried to shut that off and just do what I was supposed to do like everybody else. Get all these silly ideas of art and music and things out of my head and get a real job. Well, I started drinking pretty heavily after that. And I quit smoking weed and I started drinking. It was really weird. But, with weed, it'll open up your mind and make you think about things that you want to shut off. Some people use it the opposite way. It doesn't work nearly as well as alcohol. It's shutting up your brain. In fact, it's kind of liberating. Sometimes you can figure a lot out. But I quit smoking when I started drinking for a year. And I didn't go to the emergency room then. That was one of the times that I could have died, but I didn't. Wasn't so close as the one that happened about 5 years later. But I realized something about me is different, man. I gotta get out of here. I gotta get to the city. So I get to the city, and again, I'm just utterly crushed. Because reality is everywhere, and people that are trying to help me are just telling me how foolish I am. Get over it, Well, I really felt like I needed to meet a model at that point, and that even though I wanted to write something, I hadn't had enough life experience to write yet. And I think that's critical to realize when you're young. Maybe you've been playing guitar for 10 years, but do you have anything to sing about? You may have been writing your whole life, but do you have anything really worthwhile to write about? And this was a question I asked myself at about 22 or 23, and I said, no. I need to shut my full mouth and learn, because everybody that I had tried to help at that point, I ended up hurting. Most people don't realize that when they do that. A lot of people help because they want to help, but they actually don't help in the way that is helpful. And I was at that point. And so for the good of other people, I decided I didn't need to write. I didn't need to write yet. I did not know enough about what I was talking about. And God forbid somebody actually thinks that I know what I'm talking about and they're listening to me and follow my bad advice. I didn't want to be responsible for that. So I didn't write. I quit writing poetry. I quit writing a lot of stuff. Later, I got into social media. I do my little ranty things, but nothing where I sit down and polish it and revise it, try to publish it, all that stuff. I was given an opportunity shortly after I almost died to do this, this health thing. And they said, we want you to write about it afterwards. We'll do this for free and just write about it. And we'll publish it for our own reviews, for our own use with this health thing, Here we go. And I started writing. I was going to do some nonfiction point of view thing, and poetry popped out. Full blown. And as I'm writing, I'm thinking I'll just get this poem out of my head, and then I'll write my actual piece for them. And I wrote it, and another poem popped out. I was just like, what in the hell? I haven't written poetry in like 5 years. Where's this coming from? And it's kind of like it's in your way. I don't know if you've ever been a writer or an artist or had something that just you literally can't move on until you get it out of your system. I could not write a damn thing. I tried. Couldn't write anything until I got that poem out of my system. It was fully formed. It rhymed. It had meter. Where did this come from? I don't know. I just wrote it down. And I kind of, so where I like the idea of a divine muse or a genie, or that's where the word genius comes from, because, I'm not the genius. I've got a genie lucky enough to communicate with me. I'm just the mouthpiece. I'm just the one writing it down. It really feels like this when you get really grabbed by an idea. It feels like something is taking control of you and it is using you to, you don't even know why. You don't even know why you're writing this. Most of the time. Has to be done. I have to do this thing. And then later, maybe like 5 months later, 2 years later, someone else reads it, you read it, and, different state of mind, and you go, holy shit, that makes sense. Wait, I wrote this? No. This is way too profound. There's like all these intricate meanings in here. I didn't really mean that, did I? Like, what the hell? So it's really fascinating to me. I've been reading a lot lately, and I keep stumbling across these letters from authors and stuff. Brainpickings.org always has really good reading, and that you should just go check it out if you're bored and you want to read stuff. But I've been reading about writing, what writers say about writing, and I feel a lot of the same ways. And it's kind of like this dawning horror. It's not, it's scary. It's horrific to think that in your own mind. When you've read enough about authors, they don't have glamorous lives. It's not easy. They're usually tortured souls. Bukowski usually lived month to month in shitty fucking rat trap apartments. It's what it's like to be a writer. And when you start realizing that you might be that, I'm scared. That is not an easy life to live. And when I was younger, I thought, oh, I'm going to be an author. I'm going to be a writer. I'm going to be so cool and important and bullshit. There's a lot of writers out there. There's probably 100 writers for every actual good piece of literature that comes out of one writer, and there's probably 1,000 shitty pieces that come out for every one good, meaningful contribution to human literature. This is a monumental task. And rational side of me is just like, dude, No, let's not go get a regular job, go do something. This is not the way you want to go. And then this other part of me is like, do I have a choice? Do I really have a choice? I can't shut myself up. I'm compelled. I feel obligated's not the right word. I feel compelled by something bigger than myself. I feel like it's a sacrifice that has to be made. It's not. It's not a good idea. But if I am the one that was chosen for whatever message I have to deliver, no one else is going to be able to deliver that message. And it may be really important. I don't know, but in the future, time will tell. And even if it can only affect, even if it only affects 5 people in the whole rest of the history of the world, if I write something that affects 5 people that wouldn't be affected otherwise, I have to do that. It's disconcerting because, first of all, how am I not going to screw this up? It's like a really important thing. I feel like writers aren't taking the job seriously. Artists aren't taking the job seriously. It doesn't matter how good your fucking art looks. Does it have a meaning? Does it have a purpose? Does it help deepen our understanding of what it means to be a human and how to survive and how to live a good life? If it doesn't do that, if it's just a pretty looking fucking tree, sorry, that's not art. It really isn't. It's decoration. Art has meaning. Decoration looks pretty. And writing used to be in the realm of, it has meaning. There's a lot of writing that just looks pretty. There's a lot of just empty entertainment. And I'm not talking about fiction stories, because I've read some incredible fiction that has deepened my understanding of human life and experience. And the story has not been true at all, but the sentiments, the feelings, the understanding, the aliveness is there. So it's not even just about fiction versus nonfiction. It's not any of that. It's about the integrity of the writer, the knowledge, the willingness to be open to ideas that need to be here and not just need to feed your ego. And that's what I guess that's what I'm dealing with now, is because I've been constantly protected from my head getting too big, right? Because we don't want anybody too full of themselves. But it's to the point where I'm almost crippled by that self-doubt. But it's a teeter-totter. I don't want to be completely without self-doubt, because then I might just run headlong off the side of a cliff, I might just fall into that hubris trap, right? If I'm completely paralyzed by lack of self-esteem, then I'm not going anywhere. Okay, I don't have to worry about falling off the cliff, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything. I'm not going to be able to survive. So it's kind of like a combination of moving forward slowly, checking your steps, looking slightly to the future. Okay, am I stumbling here? Is this cliff, or is this, slightly bumpy road? I don't know unless I'm looking. Of course, to use that metaphor, sometimes you have to get a different point of view, right? It's really important for me to hear from my friends, and maybe they'll say, it sounds like you're full of shit right there. Of course, you can't always rely on your friends, because sometimes their egos are at stake. It's just, everything is such a balancing act. It is everything in moderation, including moderation. There's no right answer. It's this constant balancing act. It's like going through a maze that's changing. And that's what human life is. there's never going to be an answer or a path that fits everyone. This is a constantly shifting maze of life, and we're in it, you know. And if you try to stay in the same place, you know, the maze monster is going to come find you, you know, the bull or whatever. So it's got to keep moving forward. Can't be paralyzed in fear. It's not necessarily a fair maze. So it's another challenge to not get discouraged by several dead ends. And perhaps, you know, maze is a useful metaphor for that, because just because you run into a dead end, it doesn't mean that you're stuck forever. It means that you have to turn around, retrace your steps, and possibly try a different fork in the path, even if it means going all the way back to the beginning. Sometimes it means that. So where does that put me? I'm already writing in my journal like every day, but those are mostly semi-philosophical thoughts that I work on. So what kind of book would I write? What do I want to write? Theoretically, assuming that I have something to say now, what is it? What's so important that I need to tell everybody about it? I'm working on that. Obviously, these are little rants, these little video things, capture some of the spontaneity and some of the feelings that I just have rushing up out of me. And they also are a nice way to develop the ideas that's a little bit different than on paper. I really like the multimedia. I don't know. This is part of it. It's definitely part of it. I haven't figured it out yet, but I think I'm on the right path. And it looks like a rocky path ahead. I'm not gonna lie. Pretty scared, but courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is going forward anyway. Even though I might fail. Even though, statistically speaking, I'm likely to fail. Perhaps I'll find something along the way. Perhaps my path will go off in a different direction. For whatever reason, I have to follow this path now. I really have no choice. In my heart. Could I force myself to do other things? Yes. Should I? I've always learned that if I don't trust my heart, that I am in for big trouble. And that when I do trust my heart, things go much easier. So, just gonna have to do it. Has it led me into some horrific suffering in the past? Yes. But I've also gotten some of the most wonderful blessings and lessons that I never would have had otherwise. So, am I signing myself up for suffering? In a way, that all life is suffering. At least I can choose the type that makes it worth it to me. Oh, I got my little medicine roll here. I haven't smoked at all today. I've been taking a break since last weekend. And usually it helps clear my head. So I'm not exactly sure why I've been staying away from it. But like I said, I follow my heart, you know. I'm going to go out and I'm going to let my thoughts kick around and let the smoke fill the air. So, we'll see. Thanks for listening. Let me know what your thoughts are.